Ikaw na? Ako na mag-start sa inyo. Ako na? Pindutin ko na. Okay.
Iya, paalala mo sa akin, lagi akong nakaganyan. Saan ka dyan? Una patayin natin ang ano. Patayin mo na lang, dito ka ha. Para, kasi kung gumaganyan ako,
Yung damit mo huwag masyadong galaw-galaw sa TV.
hindi, mabuti.
Ayan, ganyan lang.
Paalala mo.
Huwag mo ganyan.
Ha? Okay. Ganito. Thank you.
Ready? Yes. Stand by. Ako na mag Stand by, ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Margie Holmes, psychologist, author, and educator. This week, we'll explore the controversial topic of incest once more, after our previous episodes caused quite a stir online. Here's the statement from Alfie Melia that got some pretty strong reactions. Alfie said, "Personally, I don't mind incest as long as there is truly mutual consent between the persons involved." Many of you disagreed with Alfie. Bert Kibuyen says, "Sa dami ng mga pwedeng kasex sa mundo, bakit kapamilya pa? Ako'y nasusuka sa incest na ito. It may be between consenting relatives, but para sa akin, it's still sickening. Consenting, willing with love, no consent, forced, whatever it is, incest makes me sick." Raul de Vera, setting aside the many convictions of religiosity, incest is one form of censorship that I personally am against. Not because I agree with the many who quote from the revered holy books, but because even science has proven that inbreeding produces weak offspring. He continues, "But of course, this is just me talking and I cannot force anyone to take my side. Sabi nga ni Manong Johnny, gusto ko, happy ka." Someone commented about having sex with consent. I completely agree with that. We humans should involve that if there is consent between parties, it should be permissible. That is how a developed society should involve. To these reactions, Alfie responds by qualifying his stand on incest. As long as there is mutual consent between the persons involved, it is okay. He asks, by that, I made sure that I disqualify the horrible aspects of incest by saying truly mutual consent, which means that there should be no adult-minor relationship because in this case, there is the influence of power and authority. So this does not count as truly mutual consent. Incest is not always equal to pregnancy. Sex is not only for procreation, sex is also for pleasure. Now, concerning the question, why a relative when there are so many other available humans? I don't question the reason some people engage in incest as long as, again, there is truly mutual consent. To me, it's like believing in a God. If a person wants to believe in a God, it's her choice, as long as that choice is making her a better person rather than making her a more bigoted individual. Alfie continues, the question is generally, what is your view on the issue of incest, and not, will you engage in incest? There's a big difference between those two questions. Many people fail in the folly of confusing issues and mixing personal preference with being respectful or understanding of the preferences of others. Many people become bigots just because they expect others to be always in line with their own beliefs and preferences. Even if such choices do not do them or other people any harm, they are still bigoted because the people disagree with what they say. Now, Thank you very much, Alfie. I am so happy that you don't mind making controversial statements. I would just like to add that in most incest cases, it is consensual, especially in sibling relationships. In fact, I think I would say if you talk about mutual consent, it is only sibling relationships or friends who are the same age and neither is like the boss of the other that can be considered truly mutual. If not, not only is the age a factor, but it is also power relationships. Like if you're the son of a hacendero and you have, the son of a worker, you cannot really say that you are truly mutually consenting because there is power. The hacendero has more power over the son of a, ordinary worker. So anyway, sibling incest is usually the most common, but in fact, one might even say that now it is part of mainstream television. Do you remember the series Game of Thrones? There we have the Lannister twins, Cersei and Jaime, whose union even bear fruit, which is Jeffrey, sorry Jeffrey. Anyway, or sorry all these fans of Game of Thrones. Anyway, we should understand that even if people cognitively know that there is, in quotes, nothing wrong with incest, especially if you make sure you have no children, people sometimes cannot go beyond the cognitive. It is because the reaction to incest is so visceral. So even if we try, and even though we say yes to what Alfie says, the idea of being able to go beyond that is still very difficult. And I think if you accept that you can't change, but you realize that I'd like to reach a place where I don't have such strong reactions to the kind of incest that is really of absolutely mutual consent and really one where it doesn't affect anybody in a bad way, like having a child where the child might have something wrong with him, because Raul de Vera is absolutely right that so far research says that the chances of having a child that has some difficulty is much higher for people who share the same genes. Anyway, so as I say, birth control is very important. Well, that's it for today. Please join in our discussion and send me your comments if you think we missed something in this very important issue of incest. Also, if you have any suggestions about future topics, why don't you share with us on Facebook, tweet using the hashtag AskMargie, or send an email to askmargie@rappler.com. See you next week. Thank you. Sorry, ha? Do you think that was okay? Thank you. You think that was okay, all the gaps? Thank you. Ay, nasan si Marga? Thank you, Marga. So we'll try. Hi, I'm Margie Holmes, psychologist, author, and educator. We'll be talking about something that we're all guilty of every now and then, and that is lying. First, let's define lying. Put almost simplistically, lying is telling a false statement, an untruth. But not all things are that simple. For example, Joseph Cortez asks, what about those who do not speak up, who say nothing? Is that lying? Maureen Jean Lara answered, I do not think they are the same. Lying for me only happens when we're asked a question and you did not tell the truth. Not telling something isn't lying because there wasn't a question asked in the first place. The kind of lies, therefore, that people talked about in this survey was like what Joseph said, which is being economical with the truth. Don't volunteer information that isn't asked from you. Then Lute Helen talks about altruistic lying, which Lute says is lying that can be used for the good, but only for altruistic reasons. For example, there is positive lying where one lies to save others from harm. For example, lying to oppressors to save the oppressed. Think of Germans and the Jews. Lying to protect a loved one from being hurt, telling a grandmother that his grandson died of pneumonia